Hey everyone, how's it going? Ottengroff here with this episode of the Untrained Ear. We are going to be digging into Alfredo 2, a collaboration effort by Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist. Let's go. Alfredo 2 is the highly touted sequel collaboration effort between Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist, produced by the latter of the two. Their initial project was released back in 2020 to the widespread critical acclaim of both critics and fans of hip hop together, with phenomenal production and killer Coke style rap bars. The sequel follows much in the shoes of its predecessor, with immediate noise and excitement. This was released on July 25th, 2025. So, yes, I'm a little late to the game, as many of you, I'm sure, are very aware. The production from The Alchemist on this album is truly next level and is much what many are celebrating, myself included. I have to say, there's truly a chemical balance when it comes to this LP. Many producers you see in the modern landscape of hip hop and R&B and rap rely on grandiosity and this concept of sonic power to emphasize emotional engagement in a track. But what is really exceptional about The Alchemist is his understanding and demonstration of production elements and the utilization of this in order to access and unlock that same level of emotional engagement. Many of these tracks are not very loud or popping by contemporary means, but they still engage these same level of discussion and are certainly in the conversation this year for groundbreaking music within the hip hop genre, if not maybe even more so than some of the biggest tracks that have come out this summer, if not this year. It's really quite amazing what this producer continues to demonstrate over and over and over again, including the collaboration project here, building upon what was established back in 2020. And Freddie Gibbs certainly is no slouch on this project either, as he lays across plenty of engaging and entertaining Coke bars once again on this album. His ability to harness rhythm and cadence continuing to be a strong suit to the tandem as he complements the masterful production style on this project. It is certainly one to pay attention to. It is certainly a powerful project and another great hip hop release in this summer of just banger after banger drop. When it comes to track breakdowns on this project, you cannot start without addressing Lemon Pepper Steppers. This track is blasted all over Twitter. Many fans of the album are talking about this piece. You have to start by talking about Freddie Gibbs' cadence, which was a phenomenal decision, utilizing a triplet flow to contrast the beat cooked up by the Alchemist for this track. The lyricism is a little extreme and a little goofy, but just does the right amount of extreme to really just ensnare your thoughts. The production game here, to contrast, is gorgeous, downright beautiful. You have two drivers sonically in the foreground of the track, splaying out mostly in arpeggios. These are keyboard and acoustic guitar. Behind that, you have synth and vocal samples. All of these operate in tandem and create basically a lo-fi cocktail. This cocktail is perfectly stirred and balanced, almost as a Bloody Mary. And this Bloody Mary serves as truly a perfectly balanced drink, with the sour aspects of it being Freddie Gibbs' triplet flow. It is an immensely memorable and impressive track that is balanced just right. Truly, I think the tandem of the Alchemist and Gibbs is the exact right juxtaposition for alchemy in this project. And it is no surprise to me why they chose to work together, why the album cohedes so well. I think their styles just complement each other so well, and it's a testament to how well they work as a tandem. Lemon Pepper Steppers is one of the perfect examples of this, and it's why so many people Love the track. In terms of the lyrical strength to Alfredo 2, there are a lot of great tracks, but I think one of the strongest that you don't have to look far away from would be Ensalada. You have this cool conceptual rule established basically right off the jump with this track, where Ensalada is a wordplay for It's a Lot of. This is a track about the ghosts of a criminal past, which Freddie Gibbs certainly is no stranger to. You have Anderson, Paak, and Gibbs, who vocally and lyrically slay completely across this track with excellent bars, playing into the tribulations and the darkness of this life that once was. I absolutely loved the selection of Anderson .Paak on the inclusion into this track. His vocals were perfectly ghastly where they needed to be. Of course, we need not say how perfect the production was. You have an alt-rock mix with tense electric chords. You have hi-hat tops. There are ambient synth tones and a low bass flow. And all of this harmonizes together for this very tense, compact mix, which really helps emphasize this concept of darkness and weight to the illegal lifestyle that these two are crooning and rapping about. It's just a very well orchestrated and meaningful track. I think Shangri-La is another high point on this album, at least for me. I really fell in love with the R&B flow that you get in the mixing here. The ambient vocal crooning that happens in the production, along with the splashes of R&B ad-libs, really scratch that OG hip-hop itch for me. You also get the tamed vintage style synth that really cruises. You get dancing keys, you get chimes, and all the while Freddie hits with this cadence that's actually quite a bit upbeat, which is perfect symbolically with the lyrical message that's really being carried across here. It's this idea that he has so many romantic propositions, but his dedication to hip hop and R&B culture and lifestyle is leading him to not being tied down. And across this album, Freddie often alludes to this idea that he doesn't really trust women, particularly, for a myriad of reasons. So all of this doesn't necessarily land as a surprise. This is not really the nicest track, nor does it really paint him in the most PC light, shall we say. But I did appreciate the idea that it's very sonically comprehensive and well carried out in the mixing and demonstrated. So while I don't maybe spiritually agree with what's being said here, I do think that it's very comprehensively demonstrated. I mean, when it comes to Gas Station Sushi, from a sonic perspective, I think this is probably my favorite track on the album. The production is just to die for with this piece. You get these retro futuristic sound to the synth with these spooky alien zoomies that come from the synthesizer. And if you've heard this track, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, please listen. You also have the drums, which are very steady and groovy. The piano is gorgeous as well in this mix. And Freddie really takes a step forward here lyrically, talking about how he's a solo unit and he doesn't need permission to make his own moves in the industry when it comes to conflict. He's lost a lot of friends over the year, which is another theme he really talks about a lot across this album. And he's very tired of it, there's a lot of buildup coming up to this moment, and he kind of draws the line and says that he's very much done with watching his friends be lost and that he's his own man. I think what really sets this track apart for me is the production elements. There's something about the revitalization of the 2000s futuristic for the time production tendencies that this track especially, but many tracks on this album, revitalize and reinvent through the Alchemist production that is just really scratching some good itches for me, and for that I really love what this album does. Finally, we get to Gold Feet. You know from the beat this is going to be a heavy-hitting track. You have a wide-scale keyboard arpeggio that dances across the background. This is paired with a female vocal that floats around as well. Freddie Gibbs is absolutely operating at his top game. He's switching up his rhythm and his cadence multiple times across his verses as he moves. He is absolutely in his best form across the whole album in this track. It is So impressive. I love Freddie Gibbs in this light. Jid comes in, and my goodness, when it comes to lyricism, rhyme scheme, and delivery, this man enters every single track that he is featured on with something to prove. He races with breakneck speed. He's alliterating double entendres between movies and his life. Every line that Jid drops touts two meanings at least. His album is coming out on Friday, and my ears are ready for this thing. I am super stoked. I heard a critic, when reviewing this album, say that when Jid is featured on a track or when he works with other artists, he truly brings out the best in other artists. And I believe this is an absolutely true statement about Jid. The man just works super hard, and I just never cease to be impressed whenever he touches music. I know a lot of people have critiques about him kind of tending to relax into rapping fast and rapping off beat, and he can rap on beat too. I've seen it plenty of times. The dude's a monster. I cannot wait for his album on Friday. I cannot wait. When it comes to criticism, my main criticism really sits at the front half of this album and the back half. I think as Alfredo 2 gets rolling, it really picks up momentum and finishes strong. I think that in the front half of this album, there are quite a few slower cadence tracks from Freddie where, in tandem with the overall production theme from The Alchemist, which is a more tamed down stylistic approach, and that's universal. I have basically, well, not basically, completely no criticism to anything The Alchemist did with this album at all. It's more so on the cadence and delivery from Freddie, where when he was in slower cadence, it was just not every track, but some of the tracks tougher to hold my attention to the lyrics. And I was getting more comfortable just hanging out in the vibes with the ambiance, which again, kudos to The Alchemist that no track completely loses me because the vibes are always there. They're always present. No track is a skip. However, it signifies that perhaps either the album is a tad too long or that lyrically there may have been a thing or two that could have been done to step up the engagement factor on some of these slower cadence tracks. I needed a little more buy-in, I think, on a couple pieces. It's such a slight critique because at the very least, I had vibes, which means even in these slower cadence and delivery moments, I was still bought in enough by the tonality and by elements of that that I wasn't being lost on the tracks. It wasn't bad cadence. It wasn't bad delivery. It just wasn't enough to keep me 100% engaged. That being said, when I think about the baseless rating to this album, I would have to give it a well-rounded and truly elastic 8.